It's 11:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. You've already brushed your teeth, lay down in bed, closed your eyes, and are almost asleep, exhausted after a long day. Suddenly, your phone screen lights up in the darkness of your room. It's that friend or a family member sending a sequence of 7 3-minute audio messages, crying in despair because of yet another relationship crisis or a chaotic situation at work that you already know inside and out. I've been through something similar. Even exhausted, with heavy eyes, what do? You let out a heavy sigh, sit on the edge of the bed, and listen to every second with surgical precision. You ignore your own tiredness, analyze the situation from every possible angle, and type an impeccable text. Advice so perfectly structured, understanding, and supportive that it would be worthy of a psychoanalyst with 30 years of experience. Your friend reads it, thanks you emotionally, says you're an angel in their life, that you've lifted a colossal weight off their shoulders, and goes to sleep soundly relieved. But then the magic ends. You turn off your phone screen, rest your head back on the pillow, and in the exact second the room falls into absolute silence, an indescribable emptiness crushes your chest. An exhaustion that isn't physical, it's in your soul. You look at the ceiling and realize the saddest and loneliest irony of your life. You know everyone's deepest secrets. You are the concrete pillar that supports the chaos of your family and friends.
But absolutely no one has the slightest idea what you're feeling inside. No one asks if you need a hug. You solve the whole world's problems, but when your legs give out in the middle of the night, there isn't a single chair for you to sit on. If you bear the burden of being the famous therapist friend in your group, I'm absolutely certain the entire internet has already patted you on the head. Self-help videos out there tell you that you're an emotional sponge, that you have a heavenly gift of empathy, and that the people around you are narcissistic energy vampires who only want to drain your light. And then they give you that shallow and unbearable advice. Oh, just learn to say no. Simply cut those toxic people out of your life.
Hearing this doesn't help you at all, does it? Because deep down, the mere idea of turning your back on someone who needs you causes you physical panic. Saying a curt no to a friend in distress sounds like an unforgivable crime to your nervous system. Guilt eats away at you, and you simply freeze. But let me tell you a brutal secret that will blow your mind today and change the way you relate to others forever. You're not the therapist friend of the group just because you're nice, and these people aren't draining you against your will. The clinical truth, that uncomfortable mirror that almost no one dares to show you, is that taking on the role of official listener and fixer of other people's problems is your perfect hiding place.
Stop for a moment and think with me about the brilliance of this dynamic. There is a gigantic power asymmetry in the act of giving advice. When you are in the position of advisor, you are in absolute control of the terrain. You are the strong figure, the unwavering sage, the structured rock. The other person is the one who is exposed, crying, messy, and vulnerable. Listening to the dramas of your friend's failed marriage or your coworker's anxiety crisis acts as a powerful anesthetic against the pain of your own life. Do you know why? Because if all the spotlights are always focused on their problems, no one will shine a light on your wounds.
No one will ask you difficult questions about your own relationship that is cooled, about your stagnant career, or about the absurd fear you have of the future. Obsessively focusing on fixing others is the most sophisticated and invisible way your brain has found to escape itself. Listening has become your shield against true intimacy. And to understand why you needed to don that heavy savior armor and why taking it off causes you so much panic, we need to get down to the root of your nervous system. We need to look at what psychology calls the trauma of the parentified child. Go back in time and be very honest with the frightened child you were. It's almost certain that in your past, you needed to be the adult of the house too early. Perhaps you grew up in an unstable environment with immature, explosive, depressed, or emotionally unpredictable parents. Chaos was already installed in your living room. To survive that environment and ensure the house didn't fall apart, your child's brain made a quick and tragic calculation. If I have needs, if I cry or cause trouble, I will be a burden and rejected. But if I am extremely useful, if I swallow my tears to fix the adult's emotions and act as a peacemaker, I secure my place at the table and will be loved. It was precisely there, in that moment of invisible pain, that your brain merged two things that should be completely separate: usefulness, and affection. You learned to pay a very high emotional toll for companionship. You became the perfect listener, the crisis solver, because deep down in your subconscious, you are terrified that if you have no practical use to offer, if you are just a normal person with normal problems, people will simply abandon you. You think people won't love your company for free, only the services you provide. I know how heavy, dark, and lonely it is to live in this role of emotional container for the world. And since you spend your whole life deciphering the minds of those around you, paying a toll to have a safe space, I want to propose that you reverse this game now. Transform this channel into your official resting couch and click the subscribe button right now. Do you know why you should give that command to your phone right now, using the genius of your own biology to your advantage? Because you've spent your whole life thinking you needed to give something in return to exist in a space and be validated. When you sign up here, you send a biological and intentional command to your mind saying, "Look, I found a place where I don't need to fix anyone, where I don't need to be strong." Leave the exhausting, complex, and dense work of researching psychology articles, reading neuroscience, and translating human behavior to me. I'll take on that heavy clipboard for you. Your only function here is to exist. Press that button and allow yourself to be cared for and understood without having to give absolutely any advice in return.
Did you give your mind that green light? Excellent, because now we're going to face the bitterest pill of this dynamic head-on, the paradox of unilateral intimacy. Remember that pain of staring at the ceiling at night with a lump in your throat, thinking, "Nobody asks me how I am. The world is so selfish." Well, that's it. You suffer terribly because nobody tries to take care of you. But the harsh and unpalatable truth we need to face is that you yourself trained them to treat you this way. You've built a reinforced concrete wall around yourself. You spend 24 hours a day projecting the image of someone indestructible, someone who doesn't bleed, who has the answer to absolutely everything, and who solves their own problems alone in silence.
How are your friends going to guess that you desperately need a hug if you have a mortal fear of showing any drop of vulnerability in front of them? Your fear of being a burden is so great that when someone asks you, "And you, are you okay?" you give a forced smile, say, "Everything's great," change the subject, and pass the buck back to the person's problem. By constantly being the therapist, you end up confusing being needed with being loved. A refrigerator is very necessary in a house, but nobody hugs a refrigerator, nobody caresses it. We only remember the refrigerator when it breaks down or when we need something that's inside. You attract codependency, not true friendship. You don't surround yourself with people who love you for who you are. You surround yourself with people who have become addicted to the convenience of the free services you provide. The biological toll of this is unforgiving. Your body enters a clinical state of compassion fatigue. It's a chronic exhaustion of the nervous system that manifests as a silent resentment. You secretly begin to hate the long audio messages you receive. You roll your eyes when your phone rings. Your jaw is constantly clenched, and your immunity plummets because your emotional reserve tank ran dry 3 years ago, and you continue to drive by straining the engine. So how do you officially resign from your therapist position without feeling like you're being a horrible person and without triggering the terrifying abandonment response? If cutting everyone out of your life at once terrifies you, we'll use a validated emotional regulation protocol, gradual resignation through active vulnerability. You don't need to fight, lecture anyone, or make a grand dramatic announcement to the group saying, "Now things are going to change." Your task, your homework from today onward, is to apply active vulnerability. This means forcing your nervous system to deliberately show a crack in your armor. It's something that happens. In practice, it works like this. This week, you're going to choose a friend you trust at least a little.
You're gonna pick up the phone, call them, and tell them about a problem you haven't solved yet. Pay close attention to the trickery of your brain. A therapist friend only tells others things after they've already solved them on their own, because then it's a story of overcoming and strength, not weakness. Not this time. You're going to call and say exactly this. "Look, I don't want you to solve anything for me. I'm just calling because I'm feeling very lost with the situation. I'm sad, and I really need someone to just listen to me for a little while." That's all. And then you'll shut up and endure the visceral agony that will rise in your chest. Your mind will scream in despair, saying that you're bothering them, that they'll find you pathetic and disconnect.
Blow that thought away and just endure the silence. Let the other person see you broken. Let the other person play the role of a friend, perhaps for the first time in their life with you. And when someone comes to dump yet another truckload of problems on you on Tuesday night, you're going to stop giving golden advice. You're going to listen, nod your head, and say, "Wow, that's a really tough situation. And what do you think you're going to do about it?" That's all. Gently return the problem to the person who owns it. Stop stealing other people's emotional responsibility. Your instinct to care and your ability to listen are beautiful qualities in a selfish world. But you need to understand, once and for all, that you are a human being of flesh and blood, not a 24-hour open-door spiritual emergency room. Thank that frightened child from the past who thought they needed to carry the world on their shoulders to have the right to be loved. It was they who protected you. But tell them that the war is over. You survived. You no longer need to be useful all the time to have value. Those who leave because you stopped serving are doing you a great favor. Get off that exhausting pedestal, take off that heavy lead armor, and finally allow yourself to lay your head on someone's shoulder and just rest. You've fixed the world enough already. We'll see you in the next video, and this time without any weight on your shoulders.
Take the opportunity to watch the other videos on the channel. I bet you like them a lot.